Chapter number 25 of Gospels of Matthew's New Testament. Jesus is explaining his principles by using parables. He is explaining how the kingdom of heaven would be. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish one took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, "Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out." "No," they replied, "they may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourself." But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the doors were shut. Therefore, those virgins married the bridegroom, but those who were out to purchase the oil, they left out. Later the others also came. "Lord, Lord," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." He is telling that one should be ready and one should be in a presentable form always, because God can come at any time. This is equivalent to a common phenomena what we see, that if a girl is good looking and he is dressing up well all the time, then it is most likely that she will be offered for marriage. She will be proposed by someone. But if she is not well dressed all the time, then, and only few times she is well dressed, then at that time when she is well dressed, at that time her prospective bridegroom may not be there, but he may come at a time when she is not well dressed, and when by the time she is dressing up to present herself in front of bridegroom, the bridegroom has picked some other girl. So this is what Jesus is explaining to the people, that they have to be prepared all the time. Now the second is the parable of the bags of gold. He is explaining it will be a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold and gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went out, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. "Master," he said, "you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more." His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The man with the 2 bags of gold also claimed, "Master," he said, "you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more." His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. "Master," he said, "I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." His master replied, "You wicked, lazy servant, you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." It is not very much clear what Jesus wants to say here. It is equivalent to the I give one parallel parable here. What parable Jesus Christ has given? Let us explain it in another manner. One person was having three daughters. He set out for a journey, a business journey, and he entrusted her three young nubile daughters to three different trusted servants. One of the servant married the daughter, married the first daughter. The second servant married the second daughter, but the third servant did not marry the third daughter. When after 3 years, that businessman, the person whose three daughters were entrusted to three servants, returned, then he discovered that the first servant and the second servant married her daughter and they have two kids each. But the third servant did not do anything. He kept the daughter of the master as her own daughter, gave her all the pleasures of the life, protected her from the regard of other men, and hide it in his house in all protection. And when man returns, then the third servant returns her daughter as she was 3 years ago. But the first two servants did not do that. They violated the daughter and have kids out of the daughter. So here it seems that as per the Jesus parable, the man is happy that his money, his belongings, his possessions were used without his permission, and they were used to accrue the wealth. And instead he is scolding the third servant who was most faithful out of the three, because he did not touch the wealth. It was in the same shape as it was when the Lord left the servants. So and not only this, he is cursing. The main important feature of Jesus Christ is cursing. He is cursing and cursing. This we see in Prophet Muhammad also, in Quran Sharif. There is a cursing and cursing. Cursing the uncle Abu Lahab, there is a chapter for cursing Abu Lahab. And there is another chapter, Tawbah, where he is cursing the mushriks, the kafirs. So that same cursing we find here in Jesus Christ as well. Those who don't obey him, those who don't do the things as he wished, they are destined for hellfire, where there will be weeping and there will be gnashing of teeth. Another parable, that of sheep and goats. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you are all cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels." So Jesus is not forgiving. Remember, Jesus is not at all forgiving. He is not forgiving the sins. He is not taking the burden of sin on him, for which he is purportedly said to have crucified. No, absolutely no. He is telling to those on his left, that is now depicted here as goats, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels." The same fire we find in the verses of Quran Sharif, where the mushriks will be thrown and burned. Then again flesh will be given to them. Again they will be burned. Again flesh will be given to them. Again they will be burned. So Jesus was doing the same thing. He's cursing, "You are cursed. You will be thrown into eternal fire prepared for devils and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. For I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or a sick, or in prison, and did not help you? He will reply, Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to the eternal life. So he is segregating the persons according to their good deeds and bad deeds. For those people who are doing good deeds, he is rewarding them the kingdom of heaven, and for those people who are not doing good things means not doing good things means not obeying him, not following his instructions, not following him instructions means here the sheep is depicted by sheep is always following shepherd. Shepherd is going right, sheep is going right. Shepherd is going left, sheep is going left. It is going straight, sheep is also going straight. Now it is going backwards, the shepherd is going backward, sheep is also going backward. But the goats are not like that. More or less like sheep, but they are more digressing. So that is what he is telling. For all those who are digressing, there is a punishment of heaven. There is gnashing of teeth, there is weeping, and there is hellfire. So Jesus is cursing, and there is a hellfire. He is not at all willing to take the burden of sin of others. He is not at all forgiving. He is cruel, he is brutal.